Dear friends, welcome to this week's virtual drasha. This week we have the incredible privilege to read Parshas Naso, and in this parsha we encounter a fascinating individual, the Nazir. This is an individual who takes a vow, takes a neder to become a Nazir. What does it mean to be a Nazir? You have to abstain from wine and grape products, you have to abstain from cutting your hair, and you have to abstain from coming in contact with the dead. Now, if these sound like extreme measures, they are. In fact, the Gemara Maseches Sota explains, Gemara Maseches Nazir explains that very often the person who takes the Nazirite vow has had some type of overwhelming life experience, and he feels the need to dramatically course correct. And sometimes, in order to course correct, we have to gravitate to certain extremes. As the Rambam explains, that sometimes if you want to come back to the middle, you have to swing the pendulum to the extreme, and over time it comes back to the middle. So the Nazir is clearly someone who wants something different out of life. He needs to figure out a different derech, a different path, and feels that the way to get him to that middle path is to swing to this extreme, at least for some amount of time, at least for the duration of this Neder Nazirus. And there's a fascinating discussion that Talmud in general, is becoming a Nazir a good thing? Is it not a good thing? After all, HaKadosh Baruch Hu already prohibits more than enough things for us. We don't really need to add on additional layers of prohibition, but yet at the same time it is motivated by a sincere desire to achieve some heightened level of personalistic holiness. So there's that machlokes, but it's clear that in the eyes of the Torah, such an individual is highly regarded. The pasuk says, this is in Perek Vav, pasuk Ches, chapter 6, verse 8, Kol Yemei Nizro, Kadosh Hu LaHashem. All the days of his Nazirite vow, he is holy to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. So that is a very dramatic statement. Every Yid, every Jew is holy. But clearly the Torah is conveying that the individual takes on this additional level, this additional vow, these additional layers of restriction and prohibition is even more Kaddish, even holier to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. But I want to share with you something incredibly, incredibly beautiful. That the Leif Simcha was the 6th Ger Rebbe of Simcha Bunim Alter, who lived from 1898 to 1992. And the Leif Simcha says something incredibly beautiful, and I want to quote to you his words. Limud amok mizua parsha. There's something very profound and very deep to be learned from here. Vu plei ploim. And again, the truth is, it's almost difficult to comprehend. How so? Sha'adam rak mekabel atzmo shelo lishtos yain shu davar heter. What's a Nazir? A Nazir is a guy who comes along and says, you know what, I hereby abstain from drinking wine. Now again, chevra, what's wrong with drinking wine? Nothing is wrong with drinking wine. In fact, sometimes the wine is a mitzvah. Mekidish, Shabbos, Yom Tiv, Purim. So he's taking something that is inherently permitted and he's making it usher to himself. And by the way, not for the rest of his life, the Gemara says, Stam Neder Nazirus, an unqualified Nazirite vow has a duration of 30 days. Yet, again, so let's understand what a person has done. He undertakes upon himself not to drink wine, which is something that is inherently permitted. Same thing with hair cutting, same thing with coming in contact with the dead. So he takes upon himself this vow. And upon taking this vow, he is catapulted to this elevated level of holiness. Shakasuv meyit alav ki nezer elokav al rosho. To the point that the Torah itself testifies, ki nezer elokav al rosho. Is quoting over here a different pasuk. La'aviv u'li'imo la'choso lo yitama. This is actually fascinating. The Nazir also, as we mentioned before, can't come in contact with the dead. He can't even become tameh, become ritually impure for his own relatives. So almost like he's catapulted almost to like a Kohen Gadol, high priest type status. For his mother, for his father, for his brother, for his sister, lo yitama lemosam. He cannot become ritually impure when they die. Ki nezer elokav al rosho. Nezer elokav al rosho literally means because of the crown. Nezer means like a crown. The crown of HaKadosh Baruch Hu is on his head. Asks again the Leif Simcha, what is going on over here? I understand, he's a good guy. We're all in agreement. Nazir is a good guy. Nezer elokav al roshav. The crown of God is upon his head. Kadosh Hu LaHashem, he's holy to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. What did he do? What did he do? He said, I'm not drinking wine. Okay, 30 days, right? 30 days. Got it. All right. Maybe that sounds hard for some of us. But let me say, I'm not going to cut my hair 30 days. So because he just made this neder to pray, let's be honest. It's not like he said, I'm not talking Lashon Hara, right? It's not like he said, I'm going to make sure that I'm not looking at inappropriate things. He went in and he said, I'm not sure. It's something permitted that he decided to prohibit to himself. Yet with that voluntary vow, with that voluntary abstention, Ki nezer elokav al rosho, the crown of God sits upon his head. Kadosh Hu LaHashem. The Rebbe says, Lemeidim anu mikan. What do we learn from here? Kocha hagadol shel Kabbalah. We learn from here the power of a Kabbalah, the power of taking something upon yourself. Sha'adam mekabel al atzmo, shebekoach haKabbalah shekibel al atzmo. Because this Nazir, what did he do? He took upon himself a Kabbalah. A Kabbalah means literally, again, to be makabel, to accept something upon yourself. So this Nazir decided to accept something additional upon himself. And when he did, so listen to this. Nosnim lo min hashamayim od yoser. When Hashem sees that I take on a Kabbalah, when He sees that I take something upon myself, the Ribbon Shalom gives me additional koach. He gives me additional strength. Umekabel kochos al yonim. And ultimately I receive power, celestial powers. I receive powers, additional kochos, additional abilities from HaKadosh Baruch Hu. The Rabbi says, Nezer Elokav al Rosho. See, the way the Lev Simcha understands the pasuk is, Ki Nezer Elokav al Rosho is not simply descriptive, that the crown of Hashem sits on his head, but rather, again, it explains the dynamic of what it means to be a Nazir. When the individual takes upon himself the Neder Naziros, the reward for that is, or the result of that is, Ki Nezer Elokav al Rosho. HaKadosh Baruch Hu vests him with extra abilities. HaKadosh Baruch Hu vests him with extra kochos, extra strength. The Ribono Shel Olam sees that the Nazir takes something upon himself, and in return, HaKadosh Baruch Hu gives him additional strength, additional kochos, additional abilities. And the Rebbe says, we learn from here that when a person is struggling with something, Yikabel al atzmo lihimana mimenu. Take upon yourself a Kabbalah to abstain from that very thing that you're struggling with. And when you do that, Ubekoach HaKabbalah Yis'ala v'yekabel kochos al yonim. When you take upon yourself that Kabbalah, you receive additional strength to be able to combat and to do battle with the very things that you struggle with. So the Lev Simcha understands something so incredible. He says, what is the whole message of the Nazir? What is this? The Rebbe understands, as the way Chazal understand it, that the Nazir is someone who's struggling with something. A regular person doesn't become a Nazir because you don't have to. There's so many other ways, so many other mechanisms of spiritual growth. The Nazir is someone who is struggling with something, whatever it might be. And he realizes that whatever the struggle is, I need help. I can't do it on my own. So the Lev Simcha says, Chalish Baruch Hu gives us the formula. If you take upon yourself a Kabbalah, if you take upon yourself something, take upon myself additional responsibility, maybe some, and by the way, the Kabbalah sometimes could be additional layers of restriction in certain areas, or additional things that I have to start doing. Make that Kabbalah. The moment you accept something upon yourself, HaKadosh Baruch Hu showers you with extra koach, extra abilities. Nezer Elokav al Rosho. You take upon yourself certain additional responsibilities, and HaKadosh Baruch Hu gives you additional kochos. The Lev Simcha understands it in a very specific way, that if you're struggling with something, take upon a Kabbalah not to engage in that particular thing. And when you take on that Kabbalah, Hashem will give you the strength to meet those challenges. But I think we could globalize it past a specific area. What the Lev Simcha is teaching us is, what HaKadosh Baruch Hu wants to see more than anything in life is, what do you want? What do I want out of life? It's almost like sometimes we go ahead and we expect HaKadosh Baruch Hu to do so much without properly articulating what we're willing to do, or better stated, what we want out of life. When you take a Kabbalah, when you take upon yourself something, the Lev Simcha says, I'm saying, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, I want more out of life. I don't want to just tread in the waters of mediocrity. I don't want to just get by. I want something greater. I want something more beautiful. I want something holier. I want something bigger. Lev Simcha says, okay, so take on a Kabbalah. Take something upon yourself. Whether it's something related to the very thing you struggle with, or maybe something different. Because remember, again, whatever the Nazir is struggling with, unless it's alcohol, unless it's wine that he's struggling with, chances are he's struggling with something else. And what he's simply trying to do is take upon himself something. HaKadosh Baruch Hu, I'm trying. I'm trying to move the spiritual needle in my life. I'm trying to make things better. I'm trying to uplift myself, but I know more than anything that I can't do it alone. HaKadosh Baruch Hu, I'm going to take my Kabbalah, I'm going to do my thing, right? I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to try. HaKadosh Baruch Hu says, okay, that's all I need. Just start. And I promise I'll vest you with extra strength to meet your challenges. Just take something upon yourself. Just take a first step. And I promise, Ki Nezer Elokav Arosho, I will give you the koach that you need. Dear friends, when we want to affect change in life, whether it's change in our circumstances or change in ourselves, all too often we make the mistake of first looking heavenward. What the Leif Simcha, what Nazir teaches us, is that when you want to affect change in life, you want to affect change in yourself and your circumstances, don't start by looking heavenward. Look inward. Look inward. What could I do? And sometimes it's as simple as saying, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, I don't have the answers to all of my problems. Maybe I don't even know how to affect change in myself and how to affect change in my life. But here's what I do know how to do. I know how to make a Kabbalah. I know how to accept something additional upon myself. And in the merit of the extra step that I am ready to take, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, I need that Nezer Elokov. I need that crown of glory. I need that crown of God. I need that extra koach. Because if you give me the extra koach, then I know I can do the things I need to do. I can affect the changes I need to affect. I can become the person I need to become. I need you to give me that crown of koach. But I also know that I'm not going to get that crown of koach until I take that first step. Leif Simcha teaches us that if you want to advance your life, you want to affect change, you want to become the best version of you, it all starts with a Kabbalah. Take something upon yourself. Move yourself forward in some way. Become a Nazir, so to speak. He just accepts upon himself. It's really not a big deal not to drink wine for 30 days. It is a big deal. But he's taking upon himself something that's relatively easy. And with that, HaKadosh Baruch Hu says, beautiful, you took a step, I'll shower down koach upon you. The message is the same for us. It doesn't have to be Nazirus. If you want to affect change in your life, you want to affect change in yourself, don't start by looking upward or heavenward, look inward. Take a Kabbalah, make a Kabbalah. Decide something you're going to do in your life just a little bit differently. And when that little step comes, Ki Nezer Elokav Al Rosho, with one little step, the crown of HaKadosh Baruch Hu is placed on my head. With one little step, when Hashem sees that I want to be more, I want to do more, that's when the tzinor, that's when the valve opens up. And that koach from above comes showering down upon me. And with that koach, there's no telling what I could accomplish. Wishing everyone a good night of Shabbos and a beautiful Shabbos Kodesh.